Hey y'all, today I'm with my go-to home inspector and we're going to talk about some things you should be aware of if you're in the market to purchase a home or if you're currently a homeowner. I'm Sherrika the Realtor and I'm here with Sal with
Hi.
ESS Inspections, and we're going to do a real walkthrough of a property he's inspecting to show you some things you should keep an eye out for. Let's get started.
Let's get started. There are four major things that I'm going to concentrate on the house. Foundation, roof, drainage, and air conditioning systems. In this house appears to have been built in 2007. So when I do my walk, I start on the right side. I look for sewer cleanouts, and I start looking for signs of excessive movement. Yeah, all foundations in Texas, they tend to move a little bit, but what you try to avoid is excessive movement. Signs of excessive movement are cracks on the exterior walls, separations on window frames, and I keep walking around. I look for the expansion joints on the wall. This expansion joint allows the walls to move with temperature differentials or moisture differential, but they shouldn't separate. So this expansion joint looks really good. I look for the drainage around the structure. You do not want to have negative drainage or water running towards the house. It should run away from the home and then out away from the swells too. So this house appears to be okay. No separations on the window frames. A little bit of erosion. You don't want to have that on a home either because the foundation tends to destabilize. So you want to add, this one is not too much. You just add a little bit of backfill and that should take care of that problem. Went on the roof, and the roof covering appears to be original. It's a 2007, so it's 14 years old. I did not see a lot of hail deflections. I did see a little bit of wear on the shingle surfaces. When I see that, I do recommend a roofer to take a look because you may have insurability issues. So that's another thing that you need to look for. Next, I look for the condensing units for the air conditioning system. This house has two. The house is 4,600 square feet. Appears to be consistent if the sizes are the right capacity. One of the units appears to be original, 2007. The other one has been replaced. So I'm gonna go back in the house and turn the heater on and then turn the air conditioning system on. So those are expensive pieces of equipment. So I want to make sure that I give you a good assessment on the condition of the unit. Other components that I look at is your water heating equipment. I'm gonna find out what the capacity is so I can tell you what the capacity is for the units. Also the year of manufacture. Water heaters will last somewhere between 10 and 14 years. Anything after that, you need to start budgeting for future replacement. Going to look for defects, rust, leaks, improper installation. And I will notate those on the report. Next component that I'll look at is the electrical panel. Under Trek rules, we're only allowed to disassemble the front cover. I'm going to find out whether there's any scorching of the wires, what type of wiring you have, whether it's copper or aluminum, and whether the main panel box is properly wired. Okay. Another component that the house has, an irrigation system. I will test it for leaks and sufficient coverage throughout the structure. In this house, one of the major recommendations that I'm going to have is adding new gutters. This house does not have gutters. The roof line, being such a big home, there's a huge roof line that sheds a lot of water when it rains. Without the gutters, this is what's happening. It's creating roof line washout and excessive erosion. If it keeps happening, then you're going to have the beam wall of the foundation exposed and possibly destabilize the foundation. So very important in this home, gutters and backfill around the foundation wall. Full panel cover, this I did find. So
What's wrong with that?
the oven panel cover, the control board cover is damaged, so you can barely tell what the buttons do. This is a recommendation for repairs. Normally you can buy on Amazon or an electrical supply or an appliance supply, you can buy the cover that will tell you what each of the buttons will do. So that's really important because you can't really tell what to do here.
Sellers, it is important to keep your utilities on while your home is on the market, but especially during the inspection.
To reach at least 110 degrees to get rid of all bacteria. This house is barely getting to 87 degrees and the water's been running for about 2 minutes. So zones are not pressurizing. They had the water turned off at the backflow preventer. I turned it on so I could test the system. I'm gonna recommend an irrigation specialist for this. Additionally, in this house, on the siding pieces are coming, they're separating from the wrap of the house. They should be resealed and caulked at the seams as well. That'll prevent water intrusion or penetration into the home.
So how could this be prevented?
Irrigation systems are an ongoing maintenance issue in every home, older and newer homes as well. The irrigation heads and irrigation lines are not designed for a lot of water pressure, and any shift on the ground or any bumps on the irrigation heads or just wear and tear. Not much that you can do to prevent it. It's just a maintenance issue. Here in the attic area, I look for several things. I look for pest infestation, rodents. I look for levels of insulation, evidence of water leaks on the decking. I make sure that all the air conditioning ducts are properly suspended with no leaks. So there's several components that I look for.
Okay, Sal, tell us 2 things that you see the most in pre-existing homes that should be corrected.
Do-it-yourself wiring is one of the most common things that I find. Electricity is always a safety risk, so you always should seek advice in order to do any additional outlets or do any repairs inside the home. Most of the common things that I find is that people try to replace GFCI receptacles, and they most of the time turn out to be wired wrong. So I have to notate that GFCI receptacles are for safety, and they need to be located anywhere near a water source and at exterior outlets. The second thing that I find the most also is related to do-it-yourself replacement of water heaters or air conditioning systems. Homeowners do not follow what the current guidelines are. Every time you replace a major component in a home, you need to educate yourself to replace it under the current guidelines. And that's usually most of the things that I find, do-it-yourself mistakes.
As you see, it'll be in your best interest to get a home inspection. If you'd like more real estate tips, subscribe to the channel and tune in weekly. But until next time, don't let fear stop you from growing. If it costs you your peace, it costs too much, because we buying properties and not problems.